where disaster is the talk of your town. I'll be your co-host today. I'm Executive Director for Grace Community Services. Here joining us today will be Erica Lambert. She's from the Help Foundation. The Help Foundation. It's a nonprofit supporting all kinds of areas. And she's going to tell us a little bit about today what their focus is, what they were doing before Hurricane Ike, and what they're going to be doing to help our hurting families after the storm. Welcome, Miss Erica.
Well, thank you so much for having me in our organization. We're glad to be here.
Thank you. You know, I just first want to say thank you for all the great work that you and your husband do. You and your husband are partners.
Absolutely, and I'm excited too. His background is actually professional emergency management, and so I've learned quite a bit along the way. I think joining, my background is mostly in communications and PR, but being born and raised in Texas and the organization starting in North Carolina, I think we make a great team, and we're able to bring together backgrounds and resources to really offer something great to the community. So.
Wow, and Tony, thank you for being in our audience today. Well, Erica, tell me more. Tell me more about the Help Foundation.
Well, it's exactly what it says. It's help, and we're faith-based, and we believe and know that God's going to lead us in the right direction to be able to help our community. We definitely believe that our talents are supposed to be used to be able to help others. And so with that said, HELP actually is an acronym, and it stands for healing and engaging and learning and preparedness. We are a disaster management. So we look at different things. We look at preparedness and response, and our greatest thing is just being able to bring people in the community and help them and organizations identify what needs they have and get them in touch with the resources they need to be able to stand alone in disasters and also to reach out to the community as a team.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what have you been doing on the road to recovery for the Hurricane Ike victims?
Well, it's kind of interesting that you said that. Our organization is a little bit different than most nonprofit disaster response programs. We're not social services. What we are is basically an organization that is going to train organizations to be able to help community. So I know that Grace Community Services, which you're heavily leading, is really about collaboration. And that's exactly what we are too. So what we're doing is we're being able to collaborate with social services agencies, but we're going into organizations and we're learning what needs they have. We're assessing them, being able to see what the gaps are. As a matter of fact, after Hurricane Ike, we were able to figure out that there is a gap. There is a gap of a need. What you have are volunteers that aren't really trained and don't know what to do, that are really here. They've decided they're not going to leave, or they have a safe haven and they want to help, but they're not really trained and they don't know who to go to.
Absolutely.
And that's where we come in. There's actually a term, they're called SUVs, and it's called spontaneous untrained volunteers. It could have a negative connotation to it, but it really doesn't, because we want to reach out to people that want to help, and we want that help. But for people like our local government that really need to be able to track the skill sets and be able to identify who those people are that can step in and help, that's what we're doing. We're finding the skill sets, we're putting them in some type of logical organization and helping churches and other organizations know how to use that resource. And,
that sounds very interesting. Again, because I know at Grace Community Services we also train churches to be disaster prepared and ready. So I'm excited about how we're going to sit down and figure out how we're going to collaborate.
Absolutely, looking forward to that.
Well, let me ask you, you guys have been doing that type of work for how long?
We started in 2001, and it's interesting, if you look at our logo, we actually have a scripture on there, and it talks about there's no greater love than laying down your life for a friend. And sometimes people think, well, that's not quite disaster, but what it was a group of first responders, and Tony Lambert being one of them, back in North Carolina, and they kept looking at the need for organizations to come in, disaster management and help, but they felt that it wasn't accessible to people without money. So that's when the nonprofit idea came together. And so 2001, North Carolina, a group of first responders got together and established the Help Foundation.
You know, I am just so grateful and appreciative to first-time responders. Mm-hmm. They put their lives on the line to save others. Right. All day long, they deserve a round of applause.
Absolutely.
All day long.
Absolutely.
Yes, that is awesome, the work that you're doing. So, we first met you, I believe, at the Community Resource Festival.
Absolutely. We were really glad to be a part of that. As a matter of fact, your organization was, I met a representative, I believe her name is Jackie, a great person, just really out in the community, and she was at the Houston, I believe it was Get Ready Houston. It was the hurricane workshop that they have annually, and we had a booth there, and we were reaching out to that Houston Metroplex area, and she shared that your organization was also going to have something in Galveston, and it was a resource and information festival. We were so excited to sign up, and it was wonderful. I think one of the interesting things about it is that it really brought people out, and you were able to see that, hear the stories and see that people are still recovering from Ike. I mean, we know behind the scenes what's going on, but it's interesting when people are coming out and you're sharing and you're just still seeing how life is and how things are a little bit slower than they used to be. I know for a fact that a lot of tourists that probably visit Galveston, it's getting back on its feet. It's looking wonderful. And I just, on a personal note, I was just down there this weekend and it looks great. But when we were at your festival, we were still able to see that the people that actually live there are still going through a lot. Yeah. And they have a lot of hope, and that's exciting to see. I think for us, it was so valuable because, again, we met a lot of groups that we're going to be able to network with and organize for future. And it gets us excited to know that we can use what we have and be able to join with other organizations and just offer more. When we're in an organization like yours and ours, we're about service. And we know that the more we give to others, the more that we're going to be blessed and be able to just help and all of us grow together. So it was an amazing event.
Awesome. I'm so glad that you guys were a part of our event. Tell us, how can we get in touch with you? You know, the purpose of the Ruse List is so that the case manager can network and find other professionals who are offering services that we can connect our families to. Well, unfortunately, our contracts are getting ready to wind down. So we're trying to link people, agencies, to the resource. And you guys are a great, great resource. How do we find you? How do we get in contact with you?
Absolutely. But before I tell you that, I just want to let you know that Ruse List is what a wonderful idea. I think it's just really great. It just shows that your organization is looking just beyond being able to, when resources could potentially end, you're still thinking of the community and putting that list together. And what a wonderful resource. And I can't wait to tell more people about it. And so for us, we also are seeing where everything is going to the internet and social media. So we just want to encourage people to visit our website first, and you can find out everything. And that's easy. It's www.thehelpfoundation.org.
That's awesome. Yes. I just want to say you're such a delight, and the work you guys do is never ending, and I just appreciate that. You know, let me ask another question about when you spoke about you still saw some of the families that were hurting who came to the Community Resource Festival. How did that make you feel? Because it is easy to drive into town and see a facade and not really know what is going on behind the strip. The strip might look well, but it's not well. I mean, they still have eyesores along the seawall. Working with the families and knowing that people are still needing roofs.
Right.
Knowing that people are still needing food.
Absolutely.
Medication. Mm-hmm. It just puts the case manager at a disadvantage when the program has to stop. And so in order to give us peace, how was that for you?
It was an eye-opener, definitely. Our organization is usually supporting disaster management type festivals and conferences and things like that. I thought it was wonderful for us to really get out in the community and see that. What we found is several people that stopped by our booth and realized that we support directly disaster management started just telling us their story. They had one gentleman that came by and he really shared about the fact that he was in some place down on the Strand. He had decided to stay, it was the worst decision he'd ever made in his life, but he just kind of went through what he was going through, and you could tell, I mean, it was just like reliving it when he told his story. So for us, we just put our listening skills in place, and it just really got us in touch. Part of your festival that was different than some of the festivals or conferences we go to is there was a job aid there, and I mean, there were so many people, so many unemployed people looking just positive with hope walking through there. We don't have any openings, but it was really wonderful for them to come. We could share with them opportunities where they maybe be able to get some training that we know if they were interested in this field. And it was really good to just reach out and just know, see the other side of the need, and just know that we need to keep plugging along. And working.
I know with seeing the other side of the need, it helps you to continue and to know how important what you're doing, even if it is the management side. We all have to be organized in order to get the people the help that they need. You know, I appreciate you coming, and I thank you for bringing your husband. Well, that's going to do it for me. This has been a great experience talking with the Help Foundation. Keep in mind, for all of the case managers out there listening and looking and seeking for resources for your families, we understand that the time is winding down. All you need to do is push the hot button. Join us at rueslist.com. We'll see you next time. Thank you. You're awesome. You guys are really